Hey, folks. This says, I'm just laughing because just before I click live, it says showtime, which is funny. So let me check that I have sound today because last time the sound screwed us up, didn't it? So let me see. Sound today. I have sound from the get-go. Excellent. Yeah, there was an extra connection I had to make to the microphone settings so that it would happen straight away. So I think we've done that right this time. I'm live. Before I get going, hello there, good evening. If it's your first time here, hello. Hello, I'm trying to say hello and welcome at the same time. This is great. I'm just starting out. I promise this is the first glass. Okay. So welcome if it's your first time. My name is Trust and I am a Nigerian former Jehovah's Witness from Nigeria, currently living in the UK, and I am sharing my moving on journey, and we chat about all things JW. Ex-JW, may I clarify, sort of the moving on process after you've left, and if you're questioning, talking about some of those doctrines that were problematic. And then we have these live streams on the last Sunday of every month where we just sort of catch up and kind of broaden the subject a bit more out of the JW stuff and just what's been happening in general. So I have a link in the chat box or the comment section if you wanted to dial in live and have a call in and chat. We can absolutely do that. This is why I have StreamYard, so that we can have more of a two-way conversation, because I think that'd be really fun. Why not? So who is here? Say hi when you come on. I can see that someone watching. So say hi when you come on in. I'm not going to dilly-dally too long because somehow I end up not having dinner. Not having dinner on these Sundays before I come on live. And so I come on, I'm hungry, and I'm trying to finish and go eat something. Do you know what? I know why. Do you know why? That's because on the last Sunday of every month as well, I do a budget workshop just before this. So in my other life, I'm a budget coach, money management coach. And so I have a workshop that I do on the last Sunday of every month as well. So I'm usually jumping from that one to this one. And that's why I'm not getting food. Okay, I see a few of you on now. Excellent. Say hi when you come on. So I have some notes for some topics and things to talk about. I'm not sure what order to go about them, but we'll try and get through them. And I want to hear your thoughts as well. Anything you've put in the comments on any of my videos that you wanted to have a two-way chat on, and that's a good time to do it. Like I said, you can call in and do voice and all of that good stuff. Okay, so I've said plagues, protests, and Toni Morris. Excellent. So what's been happening in July? I think towards the start of the month, jumping in on the plagues topic straight away. Stuff in the news about the bubonic plague sort of making a comeback. But actually, it turns out it's sort of always been around. And so there were cases in Russia, in China, so Mongolia region. And apparently there was a squirrel in Colorado, USA, that tested positive as well. And at first, it's like something to really worry about because, we're all in a heightened state of anxiety of sort of what next. During this year, it's just been a hot mess, really. And I made a video maybe like a few weeks ago. Hey, John, you're here. How are you? Good to have you. I made a video talking about some of the anxiety that someone who has either literally left the Dead Zone Plague, the movie. Oh, I've not seen that. Is it good? I tell you what, in the last maybe couple of months, I've gone to watch, there's a movie, 93 Days, and just a few movies that are similar to, I guess, the pandemic, and it's been interesting. So I might have to check that out. How crazy. Okay. And so anyone who is having that anxiety, who has maybe just left and is still questioning, and just say it's okay. This is nothing new. This is not the first time we've had things like this happen. It doesn't mean that men in New York know when the world is going to end, and don't go panicking. And so actually with the bubonic plague, we actually have treatment for it now. So it's nothing like it was before. But just that panic at the start of the year, not start of the year, start of the month, with a lot of posts in places where things like that came up. So that gave us a nice, well, if you can call it nice, to the start of the month. Oh, some great topics there, Lataris. I'm definitely going to come back to them. Okay, the other thing I had on my list, which I didn't get a chance to look up properly, but no surprise at all. The involvement of the governing body in what sort of treatment people could take for COVID-19. And this is something I need to look into in much more detail. But for treatment that involved the use of plasma, trying to pushing the no blood policy and the fractions and all of that into that as well. I was so worried, like, please don't get involved. Don't get involved in this. This is not something else for you to be butting in, but it seems to be something that they do time and time again. So like I said, it's something I need to look into in more detail. If anybody knows something about where they stand now, by all means, let us know. But I know that right at the start, when they first made a statement and Tony Morris saying it doesn't bother him, there was some concern about some of the treatment that was going to be used. And if it was going to be something that violated their ever-changing policy on what sort of blood type treatment you could take, they were trying to push themselves in there. And I was really concerned about that. So watch this space. I might actually come back and talk about that another time. And the other thing I've put on my notes, I've mentioned the protest. I can see that Lataris has something to say about that. They have just been nonstop, right? I know that they're not so much in the news now, and it's kind of sad. It's kind of sad that when they are peaceful, they don't get as much attention. It's when things escalate. It's when it gets violent. It's when there's disturbances, and then it comes back in the news. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, and I think, we need to figure out a way, like if that's a method that's going to be used or that's going to be peaceful, then we need to find a way of having it brought to people's eyes. So let me see this comment here from Lotara. Say BLM never fixed Chicago violence under 8 years of Obama. You constantly hear about 50 shot every year. They never demand large cities to lower living cost and inflation. They just let Cuomo do graft. I don't get that last bit. Okay, so violence in Chicago. Do you know, I hear that it's quite a violent place. Of course, I'm not there, so you guys, probably know better. But it's just figuring out what's going to work. What comes to mind for me is what's currently going on in Portland. And for me, that's just been like, whoa. And it's one of the ones that's come back in the news, because here you have, moms and dads, not just I guess what you saw at the start, the 20-something-year-old quote unquote liberal who is showing support, which at the time, I'm like, I appreciate the allyship. But actually have people from a much older demographic, and just recently had the veterans actually join in as well. And it'll be interesting to see how that plays out and how it comes to an end. One of the signs that really got to me was, let me take that off. One of the posts saying that, George Floyd called for his mom. And so like he summoned the mom, something to that effect. And that really sort of hit me hard. And that's why the moms came out. But talking about protest, guess who has an opinion on protest? Yes, the governing body has an opinion on protests as well. So I was having a look. They have an article that they've put front and center on their website. And talking about protests, and surprise, surprise, they're not allowed to. So I think it's an article from July 2013. And after going through their usual story that they go through, conclusion being Jehovah's Witnesses do not protest. And it's just, why do they have to get involved, with every single thing? Where in the Bible does it say about stuff like that? Of course, they're linking the bit about being no part of this world. But for me, what's coming across as potentially hypocrisy, because people that are protesting are people that are not happy about something either a government has done or something that a government is allowing to happen. I don't see how it's different from them asking their members to write letters to the Russian government or whoever else when their members were being held where they felt it was unfair. And for me, that's a kind of protest. So, where do you draw the line on what kind of protesting your members are allowed to do? Or is that just when it has something to do with you? Is that just when it's going to benefit you, but not when it's something that isn't related to them as well? And I have been watching Lloyd Evans's review of the Rejoice Convention. I don't know whether that's because I'm out now, but the blatant push for everything that's for them, how your life, your everything you do, everything you think has to be to benefit them somehow. It's just more blatant now. I don't know if that's because I'm out that I'm seeing it that way. So it's just the same action. If it's not for their benefit, they don't want it. It's like someone having a job that takes a fair bit of time. They don't have a problem with you spending so much time working if you were doing that work for them, if you were burning yourself out for them. But if you're doing it to benefit yourself or your family, they don't like that. Danger, there's a problem. And so, yes, they have an opinion on protest as well. You shouldn't be doing it, but they don't mind asking their members to do a form of protesting when it's to benefit them. So make of that what you will. I'd love to hear your thoughts as well on that one. What else did I want to talk about? I have also, following on from the convention and things being sort of more obvious, I was listening to, I don't know if it was their convention video. I'm being quite outspoken with the fact that you cannot find true friends outside the religion, and just sort of saying that out loud. That is something I heard my mom say. Her words were, what do you have in common with someone who isn't part of the religion? But I don't know if I sort of heard it that blatant from the Kingdom Hall or in a convention. Yes, John. Yeah. But it was just really that you cannot have true friends. And as someone who has now been out for a few years and knowing the amazing people that I've met, it's no, those friends that are in there that can just drop you at the drop of a hat if you don't agree with them. I wouldn't consider that true friendship if it's that conditional based on what some people who you probably are never going to meet say. Yeah, so it was quite blatant there as well. Okay, what's been going on? What else I want to talk about? I'm looking at my notes. I think that was most of sort of the heavy stuff. Things opening back up, sort of, and not opening. So we've had our first sporting event in the UK with an actual live audience, which is a bit of good news, socially distanced and everything. So way less than the capacity that it would take if it was full. So that's a good sign. But then the flip side, as at this Friday, we now have to wear masks in the shop and things like that. I've seen the videos from America, the people that are against it and totally kicking off about it. You know, I'm not going to go into the rights and wrongs of that, but you know, we have had that here as well, kicking from the 24th, so Friday just gone, and so you have to wear a mask in the shop and things like that. And there are people kicking off. It's like there's no middle ground. There's no middle ground. I think that's the problem with a lot with things. In a lot of these things, there's no sort of middle ground. There's no trying to understand the other side, and it's just you're stupid if you don't agree with me. And I don't know where that gets us. So that's where we're at. Holidays. I don't know where you guys are at. So if you watched maybe a couple of videos before about, I had plans to travel in September, but you know, that got cancelled. I'm not going to go into it here. But you have people that have traveled abroad, like to Spain, for example, and while they're there, the rules have changed for them, and now they have to quarantine after they come back. And it gets me thinking, I don't know, would you travel right now? Would you actually make any plans to travel? It just doesn't seem like a good idea because things are changing all the time. So yeah, I want to hear what you guys think. Right, I think those were kind of the main things I want to talk about. Let's see some of these comments. So like I said, it's going to be a mixed bag of stuff. What's been sticking out for you for the month of July? On a personal level, work's been intense. It's been quite busy, and I've had to take off some time tomorrow and next just to regroup, refresh. It's been kind of intense, and it'd be good for the child to have a bit of me, a bit of time where, you know, we're in the same space. I'm not staring at a computer. He can, you know, have my full attention. So that movie I'm going to go watch, Lataras. Thanks for that. I don't know. I hope it's on Netflix. If it's on Netflix, I can go see that. Hope it's not too scary. I don't do the scary stuff. Foreshadow COVID-19. Oh my gosh, can we even have prepared for this? Right, the next one, many politicians are desperate to destroy 7 countries in 5 years. Oh, leaked memo, eh? Crazy. I don't know. Do you know? Let's pull this up. John, I think you're absolutely right. There's just so much unraveling in a lot of ways. And I think, I mean, there are the optimists that think that we will come together. I just don't think we're at that point in history yet. I think there's just too many polarized opinions, and I don't think we're far enough yet from some of the divisions and some of the things that have happened to be able to come together. I have been educating myself a lot as well, and being a Black person, how I have been impacted and how I see things. And to be honest, I am still formulating my thoughts and where I stand in terms of solution. So I am still figuring things out, because, you know, the US experience, that is a completely different thing. For us in Nigeria, what we had was colonization, and that has its own things that it brings in as well. And so I've been having to read up and relearn things, and, you know, what did I miss? What was missed? What subconscious biases have I had, and how has that manifested, and what would be the plan to sort of correct that and fix that? And some of it's not easy, and that's me, let alone someone sort of, I guess, on the other side. So things are not going to be the same for America. These elections coming up in November, they're going to be quite defining, aren't they, for where you go next and what's going to happen. So yeah, I just say, like, stay safe out there. Stay safe. So, John, what do you think it's going to be one of the biggest changes? I mean, what are you hoping to see, I guess, from all of this? Things are really kicking off. Let's see, Wesley Carr. Look, Tara Swing, you've given me work to think about. I mean, going back to, gosh, I'm trying not to be controversial, but the Middle East, right? So they've had their uprisings. I don't know, was that like in the early 2000s? I don't know why 2011 is coming to mind for me. It is hard. It is hard because a lot of the times you have these leaders who are quote unquote dictators, or they genuinely are, and maybe the people are not having the best time, and it's I don't know if there's a way to keep everybody happy. But then you have a foreign government who get involved and kind of destabilize the whole thing. What you end up with is a very destabilized system where, rather than one, I guess, dictator telling everybody what to do, you have different fractions that are fighting, and the whole thing is a mess. And then you have to go back and say, okay, maybe was that approach the best one? I don't know. Maybe we have more of a strategy before going into these things, and what is the plan for rebuilding things? It's not just about taking away what's there, but what's it going to be replaced with? I don't have the answers, but time and time again it just seems to end up with things being very destabilized and unsettled. And thinking about the economics of it, the people who are there, they don't seem to benefit from that from an economic point of view, because when things are unstable, that it's not really the place companies want to come in and invest and put roots down. And so it's hard. It's a lot of things to think about, and it's just hoping we learn from these things and be more strategic without pointing the finger. I'm gonna leave it there. Yeah, without pointing the finger. We just need to have honest conversations on both sides. Acknowledge what's happened, and really start seeing each other as equals without biases, because it's easy to say, yes, I see everybody the same, but those biases, those stories that you have in your mind about somebody even before you know them, just based on where they're from or what they look like, it kind of impacts a lot of things, also on a subconscious level. But yeah, something to think about there. McCain, he's passed away now, right? John McCain, you mean, right? Cuomo, right. Any more comments, any more questions? This can be a short one, but I think there are a couple of things left that I didn't sort of think they were that important. I bought a webcam at the start of the month because I thought, right, if I'm going to be doing this on my laptop. Oh, you're having a problem with your text? Oh, I don't know why, John. But it turned out being worse than what I have on my laptop, so I had to return it back. If you have good recommendations for webcams that's not a crazy price, let me know. That would be better than kind of what I have now, because the one I bought, it said all the right things. It came and it literally had me looking red. So, which is not a good look. It seems to be working. Oh, right. Oh, so have I missed a lot of what you wanted to say? Yeah, I made a comment on your things will never be the same. I was wondering, what you have for the outcome. Blame Trump. Let's see. Lunar Year parades for large cities. Okay. All right. I see, Lataris. Okay, that's that side of the camp. What do you think? I mean, do you get what they're protesting for? What do you think would be a better approach to do it? Because let's face it, none of this is new. None of this is new. This is protests have been going on for a long time. And, if I was to make sort of an assessment, I don't know how effective they are. Yes, it's done some things, definitely. What do you think would be a better approach to get what they want done? And do you even know what they're trying to get done? I mean, is that clear for you? Lunar Year parades. Oh, I didn't see those. BLM travel around with rioters in tow. Yeah. I might be biased. I have gone to one. Maybe in June. It was so well organized. It was socially distanced. I didn't touch anybody going there, coming back, and it was just to be in a space, just hearing the arguments and so sort of take it or leave it sort of thing. It was a very sort of mixed crowd, but again, I have seen ones that have not been like that have been a bit crazy, and things have gotten out of control. But like I said before, for some reason, those are the ones that make the news, the ones that go off without a hitch. They don't make the news, and it's like, why is that? What's the best way to get whatever outcome they're trying to get, and maybe this is negative of me, but I'm going to repeat what I said before. I don't think we're far enough from the incidents that created the situation we're in now. We're not far enough yet for things to change and to accelerate that process. I don't know if quote unquote protest is the way to go. Just based on what's been happening, it's not working fast enough. Okay, anyone else having problems with their text? Let's see. Let's see. I have been having a lot of conversations with people lately. That's something else I've been up to this month, so I'm a bit more lighthearted. So I'm in a group where I put feelers out to interview some people and chat with them, and it's been so good. Like after months of all this social distancing, to have like communication with people that I've never met and probably not gonna meet, but like hearing this, humans are fascinating. I think if we could see what we have in ourselves, and it's just such a joy. And yeah, it's just a shame we don't have more of that. But that's been so much fun speaking to people from all over the world, Australia, America. I think I spoke to someone in, is it Italy or Romania? Zoom calls, just hearing about their story, interviewing them, and how they help people. It's been great. Right, let's pull this one up. So much venom has been spread, and even when the restrictions are lifted. Yes, John. Yeah. It'll be hard to forget. I think it's just like you said, things are not going to go back to the same. There are a lot of permanent actions that are happening, and I call them permanent because either they can't be undone, and the seed is planted, and yes. I bet I don't even hear everything. It's, for me, it's like, what is a solution though? I don't think I'm hearing as much of that. I'm not hearing as much of that. BLM, your small town hosted an event. Oh, that's great. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So there is the conversation right now with the organization versus the sentiment. And I think there's a lot of drive to kind of separate the two, between the idea of saying that Black Lives Matter versus the organization that is that, and stuff going on about who is funding them, and stuff like that. I can't say I've looked into those in as much detail, but I think a lot of the attacks I'm seeing is on the organization itself. Let's focus on the sentiment, what that means, and what that's going to look like. And it just needs to be a lot of honest conversation with open minds and an openness to strategy. Yes. I know. What is it about the statues? Okay, I'm gonna have an opinion here. Like, I think someone who, like, right back in maybe early June, where a lot of people who have never heard them talk about this before, they don't, even with the murder, with anything that's been happening, and the first time they talk about this is about the statues. Honestly, I am thinking that's kind of showing me where your priority is. If that's the thing that's going to drag you out talking, it's statues versus the lives, and talking about how did we get to that point? How did we get to that point where that sort of thing happens? And the reason people are protesting is because a lot of the time nothing happens to them. It's not the fact that it happens. I mean, that's bad enough. It's the consequences. A lot of the times there are no consequences. And that's from what I hear, the frustrating thing, that they get away with this, and it's not okay. I mean, hence whatever I heard was going on in Kentucky today, people saying, we need action for whatever happened with the Breonna Taylor lady. It's the lack of consequences. Yeah. Okay. This has gone really way down BLM conversation. Let's look at this one. Zoom calls. Do you know? Oh, I hear you. Hope Watcher is never allowed to go witnessing ever again. Yeah, I think they will. I mean, wasn't there that case in the Supreme Court? Was it yesterday, where a church was challenging the fact that they're only allowed to meet in groups of 50, and they were petitioning that. And of course, it didn't go their way, and people are furious. So there is a lot of deference to religion, at least in America. Certainly in Nigeria, no one's going to stand in the way of religion. We're just not there yet. So I'm afraid there might be. I don't see them being stopped anytime soon. And I have mixed feelings about that as well. That trying to enforce something like that, it sounds problematic from the point of view of freedoms. Because if you extend that, what else could they stop people doing that, I guess in theory, isn't quote unquote hurting anybody? Like, when they get to your door, it's up to you if you want to listen or not. Now, I know that they're deceptive. I know that they don't give you the full story. They don't give you the full picture until they've reeled you in, and you're studying, and your brain is kind of in there, and then they land it on you that, by the way, you better go all in, or you're toast. So I hear that, I get that, but I don't know if it's enforceable to stop them preaching. But we can certainly tell them no. And part of what channels like this one, other channels that are spreading information out there, is so people are, for lack of a better term, armed with information on what this group really is. It's not what you see when they first show up on your door. There's these other things that you're not going to find out once you're in there, is having people have access to such information, so that when they come in and have the saccharine sweet, veneer, I can't speak. You can cut through it and just cut it right out because it's not what it is. Okay, here we go. Young man, and ask, doesn't your grandmother go? Yeah. So is this for the protesters? Is that what you did? Yeah. It's just so polarized, John. It's so polarized. We are talking, years and years of divide and separation, and there are simply people who don't see everybody as equal. That's just what it is. And even if they won't go as far as to saying that, but they have negative connotations about certain groups, even among people that you would think are quite enlightened. They have these connotations, they have these biases, and sadly, that's what it is. And I just think we need a bit more time, a bit more distance from things like this for us to move past it. What's this one? From the park uptown to you stayed behind till the last rifleman was gone. So these are the people guiding the statues, right? The monuments. It'd be interesting to see what happens. I don't get the argument about history. Now speaking as someone who's not American, don't have the history, but those Confederate statues, I thought those were the guys that were fighting the United States Union. So I thought those were the people that were the enemy. Why are they sort of, anyway, I have read stuff. I'm not gonna go into the details yet, but I don't get it. And from what I'm hearing, this is not the first time this has come up as an issue. There are communities where residents have been, complaining about this to the leadership, saying, this is not okay. But they're not being listened to. And now you have this uprising where people feel emboldened to go and literally rip it up themselves. We have one that happened here in the UK. I'm probably all heard about it. The one in Bristol, where the statue was literally pulled off and chucked in the river. Because it turns out, residents have been asking about this. I don't know that's necessarily the way to learn about the history, seeing as those things don't tell you anything about who the person was, what they stood for, what they did. Yes, people are complex, people have different parts, but if you're going to showcase someone, maybe not that. Oh, hey, Coach D. Free. Thank you. That's so kind. Thank you. Some questions, right? What stage of waking up would you say you're in? I would say I am all the way out. Physically out, mentally out, all of it out there, out. It took a few years. So back in 2011 was when I physically stopped attending and things like that, but I still was mentally all in. And that was years and years of guilt of not being sorted enough to go back in, because that was the plan, to go back in. And so it wasn't until 7 years later that, okay, let's look at this, because if I need to go back in, I need to get on with it, because family relationships are strained, and I'm raising a child. I want him to know the quote unquote truth. I need to find out what's true. And so if I'm taking him back in, then I need to get on with it. And that's when I started digging. I have my waking up video somewhere. But yeah, I would say I'm definitely out from about 2018, from around the summer of 2018. That was when I was coming to the end of my rabbit hole digging in research thing. And it was like, fuming about all the lies and how we've ended up here and a whole bunch of stuff. So yes, for me right now, the focus is on trying to identify or identifying the things about how I see life that are due to the way I was raised, and I guess trying to fix it, trying to correct it, and whatever limitations that come from that. Of course, things still come up that that you realize, oh, that's that's because of that. That's why this is a struggle or things like that. But just focusing on the moving on bit. So definitely there. Bridget posted about this, or I have to check it out, see what she has to say. Oh, I'm glad she's wading in my chance who I've served. So, John, do you mean soldiers from the Civil War as well, or so from the Union, Confederate, both? Yeah. Yeah, what I've read about the history of them as well, they're apparently the Daughters of the Confederacy, a group that sort of formed towards the time, so 1800s and 1900s, a group that formed from the family members of the Confederacy who were trying to remember them, and they put up a lot of these monuments and statues up and things like that. I'm in recovery. Yes. Yes, definitely. Definitely still in recovery, and who knows how long that's going to take. I mean, you've heard that saying that if you give someone a child from 0 to 7, whatever they've formed at that stage goes a long way to become who they are. Like, show me the child to 7, I'll give you the man. So just acknowledging what that sort of impact can be and bearing that in mind as we're trying to rewire things. I mean, not everything's bad. I don't know. but yes, just trying to undo that and being quite what's the word, proactive about it, because it's not just about being out. It's that thing where I've been talking about destabilizing systems. You need to put something else in place. Just leaving doesn't necessarily need to recovery, that I find. There's an active work of let's undo things, let's let's unwind what's happened. Thanks, Jen. So it's always a pleasure to have you here. So, Coach D, you're in Georgia. Georgia. It's got quite a history, eh? Plenty of historic monuments that have, history that incites racial disparity and violence. I have heard, I mean, that is the South, right? And the Daughters of the Confederacy organization, sort of around there, Virginia, from what I've been reading. So kind of makes sense. I don't know. What is it like living in the South? Just being an outsider? I don't know if if that's where I would choose to move, but I could be completely ignorant. I mean, I've heard that there's this quite an empowerment going on in places like Atlanta for the Black community, but I don't know. Maybe I just turn to conflict. Okay, so John, you have Northern veteran. You see, that makes sense. That is something that would make sense as something to keep. So I don't understand the people who are fighting for the ones that were the enemy. I don't get it, unless a certain person in power has vested interests in that agenda. I don't know. I'm not gonna go there. Especially with slave owners, including Columbus. Exactly. And the whole argument for let's not judge people from a long time ago by the standards of now. No, because actually, in that very time, there were people that were fighting it. There were people that were opposed to it. So it's not that radical an idea. There were people right there and then living with them in that time who were realizing this is not okay, this is not right. And, we certainly, I don't get venerating people like that. An example that keeps coming up is that the Germans, they don't have statues of their dictator they had. I'm not even going to say his name. They don't have statues of him everywhere because, for history purposes, they have museums for that where you can go and actually get the full story and hear the whole thing. So, John, hearing that from you, like acknowledgement, that is a first step. Acknowledging that it is a thing. The amount of denial that's going on is crazy. Oh, that is a great attitude. That is a great attitude. I love it. I love it. And that is true. Every region has its issues. The one that you know how to deal with it, right? So, no, excellent. I bet the weather is better though. I have heard the weather is really nice. Yeah, and it's just what you're used to. I mean, you don't choose where your family is from most of the time, and what it is what it is. So, but no, stay strong in there. Like, I think we're all just waiting to see what happens between now and November, and get November sort of out of the way for you guys, and get back to whatever the new normal is going to be. Even here, things are moving. We have Brexit that that happened, and we are kind of past the point of no return now. We're definitely leaving. Deal or no deal, we're gonna be crashing out if there's no deal, but we can't really go back on it. And let's just see what happens. The world's going through something. The world is going through something. Oh, let's throw in something a bit lighthearted, which I forgot. How can I forget that? I mentioned Toni Morris in my title. Toni Morris in the recent convention video. I think, was this on the second day or something? The only way I see this is through John Cedars. I am not going to watch them myself. Just preparing material for this, just to know what's happening. And he gave a talk and essentially saying, stop poking your noses it's something that isn't your business. I was like, oh my goodness, of all the people to tell someone to mind their business, it's definitely not the governing body, because the last thing they do is mind their business. They get involved in everything, things that they have no business being in. We've talked about protesting. My last video was how they have an opinion on married couples, whatever they can do or can't do in their marital beds. Like, they have an opinion on that. And I was thinking, I wonder why he's saying that. Is it because he's the head of Bottlegate, where he was found buying bottles and bottles of alcohol, and like it's kicked up a fuss, and now he's giving this talk about mind your business. So I'm like, is it trying to say, stop talking about me? Mind your business. Well, if you're happy to get involved in everything people are doing, don't be surprised if people want to talk about you as well, especially when you're telling them what to wear, how whether to have a beard or not. Coach D Free says tight pants. Yes, has a problem with tight pants. Like, you are the last person to tell people to mind your business. You're not minding yours. Okay, let's see. Trying to recover from what? Yeah. Oh, I hear you. I hear you. Listen, you gotta do what works for you. You gotta, like, I am gonna be real open and honest here. The thing about family for me, I haven't figured out how to deal with that. How to deal with, the fact that it's not close, and knowing that I'm powerless in changing that, because their position is set. As long as you're out, there will be this wall between us, this thing. And I haven't made peace completely with that. And don't set me off. Don't set me off. But I had to, I guess, well, I have to put that to one side a lot of the time, because I can't control that. I can't control that. I'm sure at some point I'm going to have to deal with it. At some point, we're going to have to find some peace, but take your time, one thing at a time. When did you leave? How long have you been out? Have you been out for a long time? Take your time and figure things out. Oh gosh, that was heavy. Statues erected in Jim Crow. Yes. I read that there was sort of a proliferation of them during the Jim Crow era, so the early 1900s and things like that. And then there was another spike around the 1960s when, there was some small gains being made in terms of civil rights, and there was like a counter attack on that. So by the way, remember, we're still here, and you've got it spot on, intended to intimidate. Don't you forget who these powerful people are. So, John, people like you, so like a treasure to have, who like see the whole picture. JW policy of not voting was an attraction for me. So, do you not vote now then? Are you still, I've got something on my lashes. I don't know what it is. So I only have a film. Non-voting was an attraction for me way back. What about now? I voted for the first time. When was that? Maybe like 6 years ago. That's funny. So even before I officially woke up to all of it, I was in a relationship, and I don't know, I just wanted to get involved, and I had all sorts of guilt as I was doing it, like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm taking sides. But yeah, what about now? So gone for 40 years, still not involved in politics. Yeah, I think a lot of people see it as a way to bring about change. I don't know how effective it's been based on what we have, because if it's anything like what we have in Nigeria, so we had independence from Britain in 1960. I promise you, it's been the same group of 10 men that have sort of been passing the presidencies from this one to his mate, to his mate, to his mate. It's been around the same group of people. There are people who are now sort of much older, nothing against that, but it's been the same group of people that's been passing from with the same ideology. So definitely for a country like Nigeria, I don't know how much good it's done, because it's the same group of people that had it. And in terms of bringing change, sometimes you need something fresh, something different, something from the here and now to look at the problems in a new light and see how to fix it. So I don't know. You think they'll come to their senses? What, in terms of getting involved in politics? I don't think so. Do you think? I mean, they have such a hard line on protesting. I wasn't expecting them to be like to have such a direct, definite Jehovah's Witnesses do not protest. I mean, the only thing they could do next is making it a disfellowshipping offense. One of the most bizarre things I saw them have an opinion on. My parents went to Israel because it's something people do, quote unquote, pilgrimage, or just to see it, just to see those places. And they got a slap on the wrist for that. They had some discipline for going to Israel. And it's just, I don't understand. Well, actually, I do. It's a control thing. It's to make you feel so powerless that, you know, you have to check with them before doing anything, and it's to make you know that, you know, they are calling the shots. And these days, there's no difference between organization and Jehovah when they're talking about things. You know, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like they're being a bit more blatant now as a lot of things get dumbed down and simplified. You know, the literature is getting more and more simplified. I feel like in a lot of ways it's getting more direct. You know, when someone feels like they own you, you know, when someone's trying to abuse somebody or dominate them, like it starts out subtle when they're trying to feel you out to see if you're going to fall for it, and then once you're in, there's no need for subtlety, there's no need for niceness, they're direct, straight to the point, they tell you. And I feel like they're there now because, no offense, um with how much information there is out there now about the religion, and just how much information is out there. You know, Australian Royal Commission, Jeffrey Jackson saying whatever he said, the CSA scandals, like there's just so much information out there, and someone who is still there must be all in, must be so committed that literally they can be told to do anything. And I feel like that's the people they're talking to. They know who they've got. These are the people that are in. Nothing is going to change their mind. Where in Nigeria are you? I am actually in the UK. That's where I'm at. I haven't been to Nigeria in coming up to 12 years. So I hear you. I miss the food. I miss the food. In the winter, I miss the weather. Because all this cold, slippery snow stuff doesn't work for me. But there you go. But no, I hear you. Are you Nigerian as well? That'd be quite fun. Right. Politics for the absurdity of the Watcher group. So, okay. Yeah, they do have quite a tight grip. John, I really hope you're right. I know that maybe actually, scrap that. Since 2015, though, when the Australia Royal Commission thing came out, when the lovely man who commits the time to look at these things, Lloyd, and looking at the numbers and growth in countries where they have more access to information, the numbers are going down. You see the growth in places where people don't have as much access to information. So maybe, I mean, if I was in and this pandemic has happened, I know how much time I've had to think about stuff lately. So maybe, you know, maybe it might just have been enough to actually spend time thinking about it. So you never know. But I really hope you're right and people are thinking about things. You did temporary work at Bethel. Oh, so you mean the Bethel home? Do you know, I never actually went, which I don't understand. I never actually went. I know my brother spent some time there, like he is all in. I just found out this month that he is the congregation secretary. That's my little brother. Yeah, apparently he is the secretary, which, you know, I didn't know what to make of that when I left. When I left, he was how old was I? Was 18, so he was 16. So now he's like a man with congregation responsibilities. It's like, oh my goodness. Yeah. Are they waking up in the UK? I think they are. Yes, it's one of the countries where the numbers are going down. In Nigeria, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening. I hope so too. There is now, you know, not everyone goes down this path, but atheist path. But I was encouraged to see Facebook groups of Africans, Nigerians who are, using some critical thinking, and really think about stuff, because unfortunately religion it's got this hold on the continent in general. If it's not Christianity, is Islam, it's whatever it is. They're very, very religious people. And I joke, but on a Sunday in Nigeria, everyone's going somewhere. If you're that person that's staying home, you look like you're the devil. Yeah, let's skip through that. They're dealing with the same things now as others. Yeah. I know, Lloyd, bless him. He's made it his job. Interesting. One of the people that joined him for his What's Showing Focus things, I think he's keeping his name private, covert fade. It's gotten too much for him, and just this month he's decided to take a step back. I completely get that. You don't want to be like too in, and oh my gosh, I've been here for an hour. Okay, I need to wrap up. Otherwise it's too long to watch. Yeah, so it can get too much. I hear you, especially like me. I'm in the moving on place, and so I think the only time I go on the website is when I'm preparing for this live stream to sort of chat about everything and just want to roughly know what's going on. But I'm not spending time looking at what they're doing. It's just examining the doctrines that were there at the time and pull it apart, look at the flaws, and for those people who are questioning, who are waking up. Okay, I am going to wrap up. I believe I've been here for an hour, but it's been such a good chat. Thank you so much for coming on. I know no one physically dialed in today, and to get your video on, maybe one day, or get some of you on a video, call in and have a two-way chat. I think that would be quite fun. But no, thanks for chatting with me tonight and going over the month. It's very, I don't want to say cleansing. I don't know what the word I'm looking for. It's relaxing to sort of have this conversation, even like family from across the world there, just sharing stuff. So hang in, everybody. Stay safe, keep sane, whatever that looks like these days, and then we'll get through this. In among the stuff, there's good things happening. Change doesn't come all nice and easy. I don't think there's any time it's ever been that way. When change is happening, usually history shows us it's turbulent. There is a lot that happens, and so let's hang in there. Let's hang in there. Thanks, John. Yes, it's been a lovely chat for me. Yes, I'm glad you enjoyed it as well. So see you on Wednesday. Well, I say see you. I'll put something up on Wednesday. That's the plan. And yes, looking forward to the next one. I really look forward to these. Thanks, guys. Take care. Have a great week ahead. Yes, take care. Bye.